For a start, my goodness, have I missed doing this and seeing you all. It's been so great, hasn't it? I feel, I feel so energized by it. And those of you who know me will know I'm quite energized most of the time. So, but yeah, in terms of what we're going to do in this session, we did originally have in mind to do a roundtable and get you each talking about what you've done with AI and all of this stuff. And then we thought, blimey, this is just so much fun. Let's just play around with it on the screen, right? Now, what they say don't work with children or animals, don't they? And I've learned today, don't play with animals, children, or liquid nitrogen, right? But also what you're probably about to see is don't play with children, animals, liquid nitrogen, or artificial intelligence. Because when I was preparing for this, every time you ask it a question, it doesn't always give you exactly the same answer, right? But what we've seen in Catalyst, so first of all, let's just scan the room. Put your hands up. Put your hand up if you've heard of ChatGPT. Okay, keep your hand up. Keep your hand up if you have used ChatGPT. Keep your hand up if you've used ChatGPT for problem solving at work. Yay, Joe's still got a hand up. But what we've, it's pretty, for those of you who didn't put your hand up at the beginning, ChatGPT, I'm someone who absolutely loves technology, right? I'm always looking for the next thing. I would say, whether we want to call it lean, agile, lean Six Sigma, for years, I don't know, I'm probably making a bit of a link with you, Matt, and the A word, right? It's a bit of a joke in our house when you would ask Alexa a question. I don't know if you guys have gone through this yourself, but we're like, I think we're safe from AI, right? With the sorts of answers that Alexa would give. That all changed a few weeks ago because with the advent of this new technology, we're getting something that you can have a conversation with and something which can genuinely help us, whether you're an agilist out there, a scrum master, wanting to boost your retrospectives, or whether you're a continuous improvement practitioner, wanting to improve processes. From our experience so far in Catalyst, and we're still learning, it's a total game changer. So what we're going to do is a bit of a live demo, but again, little bit scary, but not as scary, I guess, as demoing with liquid nitrogen. We're going to do a little bit of a demo just to show off some of what we've learned that it can do. But I do want to also stress, this is kind of absolutely bleeding edge stuff. If you go and do a Google search for people using the OpenAI technology with process improvement, there's one video on YouTube where it's pretty cutting edge stuff, and we're still learning. So is everyone's okay? We'll have a bit of rather than do a round table, we'll do a bit of a play with it together. Is everyone all right with that? And if I could ask Mark Jones to join me as an assistant, what I learned last night is it's quite hard to type, look after the tool, and talk to you guys, right? So we'll. Let's go. So what we've got here on the screen, to save a little bit with the typing, is we've got some prepared questions for ChatGPT to have a go at. So we're not just starting with a blank sheet of paper. And I was wondering, what could we do as a case study just to show off what it can do? And I was running a Yellow Belt course. Those who've been on our Yellow Belt course will know that we have a pizza simulation that we use. So I thought, well, it's pretty benign. I'm not going to upset any clients if I borrow some data from that, right? So the first thing we're just going to show you is this is a typical thing that you might do if you're, as I say, if you're a Scrum Master looking at a problem, or if you're a continuous improvement Lean Six Sigma person. First of all, define the problem. So what I've got here is genuinely the post-its that were captured from a training session to look at the issues that we saw in the pizza simulation. We've asked the team to brainstorm. And so, Mark, if you could copy that for us down to the end of the table.
We're sure we're here, aren't we?
And then find ChatGPT. Yeah. So we're just going to paste that into ChatGPT and see what ChatGPT's got to say.
Ready?
So we're asking ChatGPT here, can you just summarize this? One of the things we've learned so far is treat ChatGPT like it's part of your team, like it's a team member. And then you can start to have a conversation with it and get it to help. So those of you who've gone through that awkward moment when you're facilitating this with a team of who do I ask first to write the statement, you'll see here that it's had a pretty good stab at summarizing a table of data that we've just given it and starting to summarize. But the keen-eyed amongst you will be going, hang on a second, though. ChatGPT, you're not really supposed to put potential root causes in a problem statement. Those of us who do it, we agreed you're not supposed to do that. So, Mark, if you could just continue the conversation and just ask ChatGPT, say, we don't really want those. They're potential root causes.
Okay.
So we're asking it, please omit the stuff about sequencing and the cooking step because they're potential root causes. And that's having another go and just refining. So very similar as what we do in the real world, right? When we're all just dealing with humans, but look at the speed with which it's doing and how it can help speed us up. So we'll just ask ChatGPT, from what it's heard so far, give us a rousing elevator pitch for this project so that we can get the team, start sharing it around the business, getting people excited. So we can see it's had a good go at it. So our project aims to address the issue of delayed and unfulfilled orders, problems affecting staff and customers, leading to complaints. We aim to enhance the dining experience for our customers and ensure satisfaction, right? We won't do it here, but actually that one feels a little bit weak for me. We could ask it to make it more exciting. In fact, do it, Mark. Ask it to make it more exciting for us. But notice how it's important to treat it as a member of the team, right? Let's have a chat with it, and let's if we want something, the one thing you'll find about this technology, I'll talk about it at the end, but it doesn't get everything right. It makes mistakes, right? But it's hellishly confident when it makes mistakes, right? So treat it as part of the team, treat it as fallible, but hopefully you're starting to see already what a powerful tool this is for us. Just starts to augment what we're doing, starts to be able to help us out to do some of the basics. And the way I like to think about it, it's a bit like a mathematician and a calculator. I don't think it supplants us. I think it, at least for now, maybe ChatGPT 4 and 5, I'll be having a different conversation. At least for now, it seems to be working with us and helping us to do stuff. Okay, if you can get back to the Word document, please, Mark. So now you might be thinking, well, that sounds good, but that's not a particularly big part of solving a problem. So let's ask ChatGPT, based on what it's heard so far, what data does it think we need? Now it starts to get interesting, and for some of you, maybe a bit scary. So put your hand up if you're green belt or above. Any disagreements with what it's suggesting? So just following the steps. So far what have we done? We've asked it to help us with defining the problem. We've asked it to help us with a bit of an elevator pitch, and we've asked it to help us. We're going to go and measure the process and baseline it. So let's make things a bit more interesting. Let's hand it some data and see what it reckons. So Mark, we've got some data that we've collected for our pizza service. In the interest of transparency, this was people dropping paper helicopters, right, to simulate the process. That's how I got the variation. But let's give ChatGPT some data and see what it makes of that. So it's having a little think in case you're wondering what the 3 dots are.
Sorry, I'll just scroll down.
You'd scroll down, Mark.
Yeah, I'll put the data in there.
Okay, so based on the delivery time, and it's done this in seconds, It's giving us an idea of what it makes of that data, right? And notice how it knows the context of the conversation we've already been having, right? It hasn't forgotten about the problem that we're looking at. It's remembering the context, and it's now starting to give us some observations. So, I don't know, put your hand up if you're a Lean Six Sigma kind of person and you're into variation. So should we ask it for some control limits? See how it copes with that. Go on then. Oh,
You want one or two of those?
yeah, just give it the first one first. So first of all, before we get into control limits, we'll just ask what it thinks against the expectations that we've given it. Pretty good, eh? Now, some of you are sitting there thinking that's not how you do control limits, right? Some of you are thinking you use the moving range. We won't do it, but if we then, the next question we asked it was, no, please use the moving range. It, of course, goes ahead and calculates it for us.
It was the first observation that Moore spotted, as you might
More,
imagine.
you wouldn't be bad at all, were you? Like, this thing doesn't know about control limits. So far, we're just looking at some pretty basic stuff, aren't we? What's the problem we're going to look at? What's the elevator pitch? We've collected some performance data and we're having a look. Let's make things more interesting, though. Let's give it some X data, as we call it, some information about the process, see what it makes of this.
They need to build a soundtrack in with it, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I was going to read it out. I tried that, and that doesn't work either. So are you guys okay reading it? Yeah? Yeah, brilliant. So you can see here, it's not done too bad a job. Hopefully, it's still as impactful with a very simple example. You can throw more difficult stuff at it, and it quickly will tell you what it thinks is going on. And Mark, let's just for fun, can you ask it what the constraint is in this process?
Oh, sure. Let me ask that.
Everybody okay with that, with its deductions? Okay, so far, what have we done? We've had a look at helping it to define a problem. We've got it to write as an elevator pitch. We've got it to suggest what kind of data we should collect. We've collected some data and asked it what it thinks, and we've also given it some data about the process and asked it what. Anybody's mind blown so far, by the way? It's kind of fun, right? If you haven't played with it already, I'd really encourage you to have a go, because it's every time I do it, it's like blimey O'Reilly. But I do want to just caution you as well. It does sometimes misunderstand things. Be careful with its authoritative tone sometimes. But when you tell it, it's quite apologetic, and it does learn from what you're telling it, and then it's okay from then on in. Okay, what we got next, Mark?
I think you've got some more process data.
Yeah, so let's have a look at a bit more process data. This one did blow my mind when it did this. So we're giving it a table of data around defects that we found. Notice this is stratified under two characteristics. So we've got days of the week and we've got the error type. And if we watch the speed it does this. This is games data, by the way. I did construct this as a scenario, but I was still very impressed at how quickly it started to give me some observations. Okay, thanks, Mark. So we're just seeing it so far. What have we done? Well, we've seen it define a process for us and an elevator pitch. We've seen it do some cool stuff for us, like suggest what data we need. We've given it some data and asked it what it thinks about the data. You're probably thinking, well, that's okay, but actually Minitab can do a lot of this, right? It's not really blowing my mind yet, right? Well, it's also creative. Watch this. So we found the root cause. So we decided the cooking step is the longest, right? It's helped us see that dominant root cause. And we've got too much transportation waste. But we made this up. It's just a scenario. But let's just see what it makes of this. So most dominant root cause. It doesn't know that there's not real cookers, by the way. It's Post-its. You see that, by the way? 5S, Paul.
I'm wondering if Matt wants to put any post-office scenarios in here.
So let's say we're at the end now. Let's just ask what advice it's got for us. We've implemented our changes. They've gone very well. Let's just ask what advice it's got for us. So he successfully piloted our changes. What do you think? Look at that. Congratulations. Thanks, ChatGPT.
Has this thing been on one of our courses, James?
Do you know what? It's got some funny ideas about domain as you get deeper into it, Mark. I've had to reteach it a few things. So, anybody disagree with the advice here? So, do we need to disagree with it, or is it doing okay so far? It's doing okay, isn't it? Say that again, sorry, Joe. Yeah, batching into the oven, I think. But yeah, batch cooking. Yeah, we might not get the same results. But anyway, so hopefully, just giving you a flavour of what's possible for process improvement. But some of you are sitting there thinking, well, James, you invited me along today, and I do love the idea of continuous improvement, but we've got Agilists out there in the audience as well, people who aren't necessarily dealing with repeating processes, but we're doing things for the first time.
I'm just asking.
Oh, you've stitched me up, haven't you?
I'm just asking you whether batching was a bad thing or not.
There you go, Joe.
There you go. High levels of waste, longer lead times, reduced flexibility. Yeah. Shall I stop it there?
It seems to know a lot about this, doesn't it?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so some of you might be in the audience thinking, hang on a second though, James, you brought me along today, and I love the idea of continuous improvement, and we use it in my company when we're doing DevOps or something like that, but we're doing cutting edge stuff around here. We do business experiments. Should we see how it copes with that? Right, so let's give it this. Those of you who've done business model canvas with us will know this is our famous example. We start out with Grace's lemonade stand. So the legend I always tell people, which is partially true, is that there is a well opposite my house, and the legend is that a child was baptized in the well and cured of a very serious illness. And so we get pilgrims, believe it or not, up and down our road coming to see it. And the story is that Grace has noticed that they're all very thirsty and they want some lemonade. And we then so we do the current state business model canvas, and then we start to go, okay, well, let's just imagine though that people are telling Grace that the lemonade's lovely, but I don't live in Nottingham. I want to come and I'd like to be able to get my hands on the lemonade. Maybe I'm living in Leicester or somewhere like that, and I'd still like to get my hands on the lemonade. And so let's just see how it does with business experiments. So we're going to ask ChatGPT. We've got this lemonade business, and we're going to ask it to nudge our confidence along, a bit of business agility. What does it suggest? So Mark, as an IC Agile authorized instructor at Business Agility Foundations, what do you think of the advice?
It's not a bad start, is it?
Not a bad start
at all.
Well, anything you want to ask ChatGPT at this stage? What's for dinner tonight? Try it, Mark.
What's that?
What's for dinner tonight? Anyone else want to pose a question? So visual display, no, it's text based, but there is something if you're particularly into visual stuff, there as part of the OpenAI AI framework, there's something called DALL-E, and DALL-E can create photorealistic images for you, paintings. It'll even create you a Banksy if you really want for different text that you provide to it, which is probably out of the scope of this afternoon, but is equally mind-blowing once you start to see it in action.
I still even knew about DALL-E, but it's only heard of the Spanish surrealist artist.
Very good. So, do we have any other questions for ChatGPT? Matt?
Can it turn it into a different language?
Ooh. So can it?
For example, if you were to copy, for a friend who was going to copy and paste that to make it into a white paper, could he give it a different language? I'm asking for my mate.
There you go, Matt. What language do you want?
That's amazing. Try Spanish.
Okay, try this. What was one of the questions we asked earlier?
Just ask it. Speak. Can you reply in Spanish?
Well, I did that, but let me just see. I'm going to do this. We had here. Yes.
It looks convincing to me. I don't know about the rest of you.
You'd have to ask a native speaker, wouldn't you? Say, in what?
In Russian. Ah. Yeah, just ask it, can we have that in Russian? I like the fact you're so polite with ChatGPT.
It's thinking longer about it, isn't it?
How's it doing? Yeah, we'll do that, and it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting when you think it's made a mistake, you can have a debate with it as well.
Any more questions? We've got one?
Okay, so we're getting towards the end, and I'm sure some of you are ready for a tea break and make sure that we can stretch our legs. But Mark, just to blow everyone's minds a bit further, I've been told throughout my whole career as a software engineer that eventually something was going to come along and take my job. And I'm just going to set it the question that when I was head of software, that we used to set when we were hiring Java programmers. Not those of you who are software engineers, not as a real detailed part, but really just to get rid of the people who shouldn't have been at the interview in the first place. I used to say, just write me some Java, and I used to give them 20 minutes to do this, to write prime numbers from 1 to 100. Check out how quickly ChatGPT can do this. So for some of you, this will mean nothing. For those of you who know software, this absolutely made my brain explode. Absolutely unbelievable. It's thinking and it's writing code. But anyway, so why are we showing you all this? Well, firstly, because it's fun, right? And we've been really so excited about it. We've been playing around with it. We are starting to get a sense already of some best practice, right? So it really matters how you ask the questions. It really matters that you don't start to blindly rely on it. See it as fallible. See it as part of your team, right? Don't treat it like Alexa or like OK Google. Have a conversation with it. It understands context, but do also remember it will get amnesia. Oh yeah, just in terms of what we're planning to do with it next, we're going to update our business black belt syllabus. We already have a really cool module on automation and RPA and all of those cool things, but I'm going to make sure this is right bang in the middle of it. But of course, we're also going to look at our core courses, because who the hell is not going to want, you're not only going to hear about this as you're learning how to, if you're a Scrum Master, learning about problem solving. If you're going through your yellow belt, if you're going through your green belt, it'd be like us not telling you about Minitab. But the ask is, and a bit like Matt in terms of, what's the ask from today, is we don't want to do this on our own in Catalyst. We love it. We're having a great time playing with it. But we'd also like to invite you to collaborate with us, share, because, my goodness, this is the most exciting thing that's happened in ages from my point of view. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your tea break.